Hello, this is Betamax80 again with an update on the new Windows XP build. Today I was able to get back a little bit earlier than I anticipated originally and had a little bit of a closer look at the components, the case, the motherboard, the CPU. Luckily the CPU does fit the socket on the motherboard, so that's one very positive thing, because I think this whole build really revolves around the find of the brand new motherboard and the brand new CPU. They're both new old stock. They're not new as in current production run, but they are, let's just say, I've got the best chance of something working reliably for a long term, I think, if it's brand new in box. So I'm really pleased with these components. I did a lot of research some time back for the Cinema 2 premium motherboard, and I'm so pleased to find an example that's brand new, especially since it has all of the accessories included. It's got the media center remote, it's got the interesting passive wireless router card with it. All of these things and the feature set on the board itself really make it quite an exciting proposition for Windows XP. So I'm really pleased. It's sort of the ultimate stretching the capabilities of Windows XP board, really. I was slightly wrong in the original video saying it supported SATA 3. It's actually a SATA 2 board, but this microserver that I'm vlogging to you from now actually uses the same 785 chipset, so it's an absolute guaranteed workhorse for Windows XP. It's going to support the fastest CPUs available. I've gone for dual core because I'm looking to use Windows XP. That's the absolute prime motivation for this build. Although the board supports Windows Vista type system, so it supports quad core and, believe it or not, 6-core Phenom 2 chips as well. I've gone for an E series, that's an economical series Athlon chip, partly because I'm also looking to make a quieter system. I'm sure that these videos I take on the microserver have the background din, the hum of the fan of this microserver constantly in the background, and it turns out that I think the power management for this fan is actually based completely on power output. It's not an actual PWM power wattage management fan assembly. I opened up the case today and I noticed that the rear fan that's supplied is also a Molex fan, so it's a dumb fan, if you like. It connects directly to the power supply. So I had a look on Amazon. It's only an 80mm fan, and there's only capacity on the case for two 80mm fans, so it's not going to break the bank. It never was. But I've managed to find two Antec, reasonable make, 80mm fans for £4.79 each. So I've actually ordered those, and I am going to swap out the case fan for these PWM controlled fans. The next problem I had was that wonderful can I show you quickly? Yes, bear with me. This wonderful Arctic 64 Pro cooler that I was so excited about is a complete no-go because it's too large to physically fit the motherboard. The motherboard has some sort of custom heat sinks and things on the components because I'm guessing it runs them at quite high power, and this just basically completely interferes with these heat sinks. So it's a no-go for this fan. Unfortunately, I've had to rethink. I've managed to find an Antec fan. It turns out that the socket on the board, I was really confused by this. This is the wonders of building a Windows XP machine. I would build those mini ITX systems every day, plough them out, rather than have to tackle a Windows XP micro ATX system, because this is the kind of problem that you get. There was nothing to indicate from the manufacturer that this wouldn't fit. This is a socket AM3 fan. I'm looking to use a socket AM3 chip. It turns out that although the board supports socket AM3 processors, the fitting on the board is actually a socket AM2 Plus, which is Athlon 64X2 territory. So this fan is basically too high-end for the board or for the socket. So that's a no-go. This is going back to Amazon. And I've managed to order a an Antec fan, which is a socket AM2 Plus fan. It's still brand new, but it's much more conventional in design. It's your standard square aluminium heatsink with the clips that kind of rock from one side to the other so that you can place them. It should still be quiet. It might not be as silent as that fan because it's more conventional, but it's fairly low profile. It is power management aware, the best I could do really. Again, under £8, so no big deal. Only thing about this one is that I've had to buy some thermal paste because there was thermal paste included on the Arctic fan and there's no thermal paste, but that's fine because in honesty I almost feel more comforted by the fact I've put thermal paste on. I know that there's sufficient thermal paste rather than a very weak connection between the heatsink and the processor, especially with these older processors because they basically run warmer. So it is a factor that needs to be considered. Okay, so that's all right. The next thing is that the board, as I said, the board and the processor have to be central to this build. They're the most important things. The PSU, the power supply, brings me my next issue in that it doesn't have the right connectors for the motherboard. This motherboard must have been very high end at the time because as well as taking a full ATX 24 pin connector, so on a modern power supply you have a 20 pin and a 4 pin that connects to it, so you have your 20 plus 4. It takes that. It also has an 8 pin connector, which is normally something that you would see on high end Intel Core i5, i7 motherboards these days. That's how high end it is. This board has that. It has an 8 pin connector, an 8 pin power connector, which means it needs 2 additional 12 volt lines. That's a lot of power it's drawing. I wasn't expecting this. The PSU, the power supply on the supplied case, only has one 4 pin connector, so one additional 4 pin mount. And it has 2 Molex connectors, which are very old school. As I say, the supplied case fan is Molex, so that's possibly what they were thinking with that. But it's very old school. So my first tweak, let's say, for this build is that I've managed to find, Amazon is an amazing thing. I found a Kenable adapter, which is one 4 pin plus one Molex to a single 8 pin power connector. So unfortunately a bit of a half bodge, let's say, but a neat enough solution. There is an adapter available. It's not unheard of. I'll survive. And the board gets the power that it wants to have. I think that this is an overclocking board. I think that's why this feature's there. It doesn't sell itself as an overclocking board. It sells itself as a media board. But apparently the 785G chipset was an overclocker's chipset, and there is an AMD utility that I've managed to hunt down that actually plays about with it. So just to keep the board happy, we'll give it the power it's looking for. I don't know. It's turning into an interesting build project. I think that buying a cheap case was the right route because I had a feeling that things wouldn't quite be stock with this build. So I think that a cheap start is a good idea because then I can buy the extras I need, like that little adapter, to bring up what I need without breaking the bank in the first place and then still having to adapt things, because I think this would have happened with whichever case or power supply I'd got really. So not upset so far, but all of these extra purchases do mean delays in the build. I will update you as we go along, and we'll see how it goes. Secondly, I'm wondering how to invest next in this channel. I would like to make things a bit more professional. I note that I do have some views, some videos, for example the unboxing of the of the Mini ITX motherboard that is reaching nearly 150 views at this point, and I'm wondering if I can up the view count with some fairly low cost technology purchasing. I don't know whether I'm looking at editing software or upgrading the webcam that I'm using. I'm not going to be able to afford anything massive at this point. This is very early days. So it's one or the other really. Do I start adding some editing functionality, or do I improve the actual image and sound quality by going for example, a Microsoft Livecam Cinema, something like that? Let me know in the comments if at all possible. Okay, that's all for now. Thanks. Bye.